Here at the Florida Maquis, we try to, as much as possible, put out information that is at least somewhat unique. There are topics that are covered at different places on YouTube that I leave those topics to those channels. And I've never, ever said anything negative about any other channel. However, there's one out there, a fairly large one, that is putting out some information that I simply believe is wrong, and I think it's just a mistake. Now, the reason I brought up the picture that you're looking at, most people, reasonable people, who understand anything about how phones work, realize how ridiculous this is. How this could not possibly have been from the frickin' moon with a car battery burning through God knows how many million miles of space between moon and the Earth, and then, of course, our entire atmosphere would have been ridiculous in the extreme. Now, the story that I'm talking about, and I'm not going to mention the name of the other channel, because it's actually multiple channels, has been this story about this Fitbit nonsense. People have been coming and posting, hey, you're looking at Antarctica, you should see if you can correlate all this stuff with Fitbit data. Guys, there's no way, zero possible way, that teeny weeny, itty bitty little Fitbit device, if this was truly an underground secret base in Antarctica, is going to burn through all of that rock, all of that ice, all of that snow up to a satellite and leave you these perfectly, running track shaped images of all of this. It's just not possible. Even if they were on the surface out here, to get GPS signal is, and whether you want to call it the South Pole or you want to call it the giant ring firmament doorway to Asgard, Midgard, whatever, it's still not possible for that tiny, tiny little device to do that. If you don't think that that's accurate, take your phone, any phone, wrap it up in plastic, real nice and tight, put it in a little plastic tote and wrap that up in plastic too, and then have someone call it. Now, more than likely, you'll be able to get a signal to it. Now, take that tote and submerge it, either in a bathtub or pot tub or pool or whatever, under a few feet of water. Just a couple, 2-3 feet of water. You will never get a signal. Even 2 to 3 feet underwater will absolutely stop Wi-Fi, it'll stop Bluetooth, it'll stop regular cell signals. It doesn't work. And if these are truly these giant hidden underground bases, and they're that secret, nobody would have gotten that kind of an electronic device in anyway. They're not just going to, and I've been a few places that are fairly secure areas, they're not going to let you have a powered on cell phone, smartphone, Fitbit device if it's really that secure. And even if they did somehow get through, it's not going to burn the signal through all of that rock and ice and snow. It's just not going to happen. It's one of the big reasons there's a big race going on right now to get GPS down there. And this is just an article talking about this, how they've exposed this, these secret bases everywhere. It's just, if they're that far underground, even 2 to 3 feet underground, forget it. It's just not going to happen. Especially down there when we're talking about God knows how many meters of ice and snow. And, here is the Fitbit help page talking about how they use GPS to do this. And there's no way GPS would be able to find that tiny, tiny little device that accurately, whether it's way out at the ice ring for you flat earthers or way down on the southern pole. Either way, it's just not real, not feasible that this was the case. And I just wanted to cover real quick, because I've had a lot of people come to me and ask to look into this. And I don't like to ignore, and I don't like to delete, but when it's so many comments like this over and over again, people were kind of getting, their feelings hurt a little bit, and so I figured I would just have to address it, because I really don't like addressing other channels. Everybody has their own little niche here on YouTube, and I have mine and other people have theirs. And, I've made mistakes before and owned up to them, and I've probably made mistakes that nobody's caught before. So I'm not trying to indict any other channel or tell you not to watch or this channel's a liar or all this kind of stuff. Not doing that. It's just I don't think anybody is thinking about this logically. But if you think about this argument and how ridiculous, patently insane, ridiculous that this argument was about how with 1960s technology, they were going to get some kind of a signal from 250,000 miles away and then through our entire atmosphere. How far away from a radio station do you have to drive before you lose signal? 100 miles? 150 miles? And it's over? I mean, and that's why, because of the atmosphere, they just don't propagate that far through our atmosphere. There's no way this happened. Not even with today's technology do I think we could get a real-time phone call from the moon to here. I mean, it would take the power requirements to boost that signal would be insane, and they didn't have it at the time. You're not going to do it with a car battery, which is basically what they were using. So I just wanted to cover this, and it's not a comfortable thing to cover, because it makes me out to be calling other channels liars, and I don't think they're lying. I just don't think they're looking at the information critically. Because everybody, of course, wants to discover some secret base, this military is doing this secretly and that secretly. And don't get me wrong, I do believe there's stuff going on down there, and there's all sorts of secrets that they have, and they've discovered things, and I've covered that, but I just don't think this particular thing is evidence of that. I really think it's STRAVA trying to push memberships and to push their product and their service, because it's a service. You have to pay for it. I mean, anybody can buy a Fitbit, but you also have to purchase the service that goes along with it and purchase those maps, because I looked into it. I went to Strava, and they have quite a few things to sell you. So it's a good way to get your name out there. I guess I can't necessarily fault them for that. But anyway, I will leave it there, and I won't waste a whole lot more of your time on this, but it's not real. These are clearly fictitious, made up. It could be that Strava paid some scientists to go down there. Who knows? This kind of stuff can be. I mean, everybody has come to my channel and said, oh, they cooked this up with Photoshop and they cooked that up with Photoshop. The idea that tiny little itty bitty Fitbit device could burn a signal from underground, even if they allowed the device into a secret base, which is highly unlikely, there's no way. There's absolutely no way it would have burned a signal all the way up to the satellite. In real time like this, that would have shown this perfect path with no interruption whatsoever. So water and ice are death to any kind of electrical signals. Oddly enough, if there were some kind of a mass EMP that people talk about, one of the places that would be highly immune to it would be Antarctica. Why? Well, most of what's underneath all of that ice is buried under a ton of ice and water and snow, and that stuff dissipates electrical signals better than anything. It's just too dense. It can't move through it, and that's why there would be places, if an EMP were ever exploded over the United States, if there were an area, like for example, say out where that hurricane is right now coming on shore, all that water and all those clouds, it would never penetrate it. So ironically, something like a hurricane would actually protect you from an EMP because of all of the water. And like I said, try it out for yourself. Go take your cell phone or whatever and see if you can get a signal even 18 inches underwater or 2 feet underwater. It's just not, and like I said, wrap it up in plastic. I mean, and test it, of course, that you get a signal when it's wrapped in plastic first. And you'll see what I mean. The water kills it. And it kills Wi-Fi, and it kills Bluetooth, and it kills GPS, it kills all the signals. So anyway, we'll leave it there. But just remember, sometimes when things seem a little bit too good to be true, they can be, and they are. Like, share, subscribe.